Hi everyone, welcome back. We're now on page 123, continuing in Module 1, Topic 3, Lesson 1, still in Activity 1. It's a rather long lesson. I already have an example here. I'm going to cover it up till we get there. So it says, explain to Sarah why she is incorrect. Sarah says, I can tell how large each decimal is by looking at its last digit. If the last digit of one decimal is greater than the last digit of a second decimal, then the first decimal is greater. So we have a thumbs down, so we know she is incorrect. Pause, think about it. What explanation would you give to Sarah to say why she is incorrect? I really want you to pause it and I want you to think about it for a second and actually write something down. Come back when you're finished. Okay, so I'm going to first explain to Sarah maybe using an example. So if I write down two decimals, if I write down these two decimals, using Sarah's logic, the one with the greater last number is a greater decimal, so that would be this one. The 35 hundredths is greater than 4/10 according to her. But we just learned earlier in this lesson that we need to compare decimals based on place value. So I could put zeros in front of these decimals because I have nothing in my ones place. And then in my tenths place, I have a 4 and a 3. So the 4 is greater than the 3. So the 4/10 is a greater decimal than 35 hundredths. If I extended this by adding a 0 here to put it in hundredths, we would know that 40 hundredths is in fact bigger than 35 hundredths. So how can we tell Sarah this? We can tell her that she needs to compare place value from larger place values to smaller. And she must compare the same place values. So what I mean by that is you can't compare the hundredths place with the tenths place. She can't say, well, that 5 is bigger than the 4, so this is bigger. And that, in essence, is what she's doing. If I'm comparing, I have to compare the same place value. So if I'm going to look at the tenths, I have to look at the tenths in both of them. You can compare fractions and decimals using a number line. Consider 1/2 and 35 hundredths. Which value is greater? They already have it out here on the number line for us. It says plot each value on the number line, and they have so graciously done that. Notice we have between 0 and 1. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 1 divided by 10, using our rule, we have the number 1, and we're dividing it by 10. So each section, it actually writes it for us, is in tenths. So 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6, 7, 9/10, or you could write it in fractional form. This one's 5/10, which is the same as 1/2. And a lot of these others, the fractions can be reduced as well. We're going to keep it in tenths form for the time being so that we are comparing the same wording. It says because 1/2 is to the right of 35 hundredths, on the number line, you can say that 1/2 is greater than 35 hundredths. And that's what we said before. The further to the right, the larger the number. And they're saying, or 1/2 is greater than, that's the is greater than sign, 35 hundredths. You could conversely say the opposite as well. You can also say that 35 hundredths is less than 1/2, or 0.35, 35 hundredths is less than 1/2. Okay, number 10, plot each pair of values on the number line, then use less than or greater than or equals to compare each pair. So again, it looks like it's broken up into tenths, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 1 divided by 10. So we're in tenths. So 9 tenths would be here. So that's the 9 tenths. 71 hundredths is between 70 hundredths and 80 hundredths, which means it's between the 7 tenths and the 8 tenths. So here's 7 tenths. Here's 8 tenths, or 70 hundredths, 80 hundredths, however you want to think about it, they are the same. So the 71 is right here. 71 hundredths is here. So the 9 tenths is further to the right, and it's greater. Okay, so we have 15 hundredths and 1/4. So now we do need to kind of take these numbers and simplify the fractions. And I'm sure that many of you have already kind of thought through that in your head. So we have 1/10, 2 tenths, 3 tenths, 4 tenths, 6 tenths, 7 tenths, 9 tenths. And where would 1/4 be? Which one of these fractions is the same as 1/4? We know this one is the same as 1/2. So 1/4 would be, so 1/4 is 25 hundredths. So where's that at? Right, a quarter. So 1/4 is actually going to be right here. So it's 25 out of 100. So this is the 1/4. And the 15 hundredths, and this one is 10 100ths, 20 100ths. So 15 100ths is going to be right in between. So which one is greater? The 1/4 is greater, so that means the 15 hundredths is less than. I'm going to use these numbers for this number line because it's getting kind of crowded, and you may do that as well. 3/4. So where would 3/4 be at on our number line? So 3/4 is the same as 75 hundredths, right? If we make it out of 100. So where's 70 hundredths at? Right here. It's halfway between 70 and 80 100ths. So the 75 100ths would be here, which we are calling the 3/4. And then 67 hundredths we know is between 60 and 70 hundredths. So if this is 70 and this is 60, 67 hundredths is going to be about right here. So in this one, the 3/4 is greater. If I wrote 75 hundredths as a decimal, it'd be 0.75. If we think about comparing place value, they both have zeros and the 1, a 7 in the tenths, a 6 in the tenths. So it makes sense that this is bigger. We could do the same here. 25 hundredths, 1/4, right? 1/4 of a dollar, 25 cents. Comparing zeros in the ones place, a 1 in the tenths place, a 2 in the tenths place. This one is bigger. 9 tenths, we can write as this. They both have 0 hundredths, 0 in the ones place, a 9 in the tenths place, a 7 in the tenths place. This one's larger. So 1/5. So we have the 1/2 is right here. So we have 1/10, 2 tenths, which is the same as the 1/5. So 1/5 is right here. This is the 1/5. Oh, and it's also the 2 tenths. So 2 tenths I can write as 1/5. So those are equal.